Brian, I'm going to be honest with you. This hasn't been my day, my week, my month, or even my year.
Suck it up, loser. We have a podcast to do. What do you think? I'll always be there for you or something?
I need to get better friends. Hey, everyone. Welcome back to TV Guys. I'm Matt.
I'm Brian.
I'm Angie.
And I'm Tricia.
And we all will be there for you. So we are talking about Friends, one of the greatest TV shows ever created. It's not my favorite, but is it either of your guys' absolute favorite?
Yeah, I would say.
Yeah.
They duke it out between The Office and Friends. But I feel like I go back to Friends because it's so nostalgic. And you love more of the characters, really love each of the characters probably more than you love each of the characters in The Office.
Agreed. Classic. Yeah.
But to be fair, there's only 6 of them, where there's a lot of characters in The Office. You can probably pick 6 Office characters that you love.
But that's what's great about it, is the familiarity.
And it's easier to hate the cast of The Office.
Yeah.
They suck. Well, I didn't give them a proper introduction at all, but many of you know who they are. This is a record-shattering podcast because for the first time ever, I'm joined by my lovely wife and my lovely sister-in-law, Tricia. And so it's 3 against 1. Brian, all of us are shoved in a tiny little recording closet, and Brian shoved in a tiny little car in a Quick Trip parking lot.
Yep. Because it's like the only day that wouldn't work for me to record at home, and that's the only day that works for all of you to record.
And so you make sacrifices, Brian. It's just what you do. So we're proud of you. Thanks.
This is also the first time we have women on our podcast.
That's true. Woo. You know, Brian, we talked about this a couple weeks ago about how much Brian hates women. So this is really a big step for him to be inclusive.
Is it because of National Women's Day yesterday?
It was, yeah.
Okay.
Now this podcast is like 2 weeks late. It's going to be like 2 weeks after that, but it is still National Women's Month. Yeah. So,
but to be fair, I invited my sister on, but she said no.
Maybe you guys are just showing how not cool you are with women.
That's really true. We are scoring terribly in that demographic.
Yeah.
Well, if you happen to listen to our podcast episode like 6 months ago when we did, I think it was around 6 months, we did this same thing but with Office characters. So we looked at The Office, we made a list of all the characters in The Office, and we ranked them, and we went around in order, and we said from worst to best who was our definitive Office list. And so we had a lot of fun in that, and we're like, let's do it again, but with another great show, Friends. So all 4 of us, we have a list of 21 characters, and we're going to start at the bottom, and the order is going to be as we pick. We're going to go round robin. So I'll pick first the worst character in Friends by far, then going to go to Angie, then Tricia, and then to Brian, and we'll just continue on that for 5 rounds so we get to the best. And then like the last episode we did, we also all have 2 vetoes. So if someone says someone that we don't want right away, like when I say Chandler Bing right away, and you're like, no, that can't be. I love Chandler. Don't get me wrong. So then you can veto it, and then I'll have to pick someone else. And you can't veto twice in a row, but someone else can veto instead. So does that make sense, everyone? We good?
Yes.
We're good.
Yep.
All right, perfect. Well, because I've given myself so much pomp and circumstance, I'm going to start first with a character that's not really a character. They are an accessory, and that it's an actual person in the show, but I mean they're not a person, and that's Rachel and Ross's daughter Emma. I'm going to put her as number 21st character because you included her on the list, and I'm like, that's not a character. That's a baby. Babies don't get character traits. Big Bang Theory didn't even have a baby on screen. They just had crying sound effects. No one cares about Emma.
So Matt, I'm not vetoing it. I'm okay with her being last. But at what age do your kids start being people to you then?
They're still not there yet. We're waiting.
Okay. Fair enough.
Maybe it's that transition point from when you become their parents to you become their parent. I mean, no. You become their parents. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I guess
you're
I'd say
identified as they're my kids rather than you're their parents.
I guess I would say once they all have their bar mitzvahs or say this quinceanera, we're multicultural.
Right.
Yes, because I didn't think you were Hispanic or Jewish.
We're neither. We just borrow.
I don't feel like there's anything to really debate with that. I mean, she is just more of a prop. They never have really a storyline. Even for her birthday, they have her sleeping. She's in about 2 minutes of the show. So
Yeah, the most we get from her is when Rachel's sister gives her earrings.
that's true.
Yeah.
Yep.
Or she does say gleba.
Gleba.
She's not even in the room. It's on the phone.
Could have
Gleba.
been a lie.
All right, Angie,
Gonna
for
be
our
a
number
scientist.
20, which character are you picking?
So do I start at my bottom since that wasn't my last one?
Feel free. Yep.
Okay. I put Susan Bunch.
Susan.
That's very low on my list too.
I put Susan because she's honestly, I don't like her character. I feel like she is like needlessly antagonistic towards Ross, and she made me so mad when it's like in the first season when she acted like he was just so unimportant in the whole we're having a baby situation. She was such a jerk, and honestly they never really utilized her in any sort of good way throughout the show, so you just never learn to like her.
Yeah.
Yep.
And Ross wasn't ever trying to keep Susan out of Ben's life, so it didn't go that way.
Yeah.
If we had to whittle this list down, Emma would have been the first. I've been like, oh, we shouldn't have her on there. But I would have actually combined Carol and Susan because they don't give either one nearly enough personality. They lump them together as Carol and Susan. And for a not hardcore fan, if you had to like have both of them in front of you and be like, okay, that one's Carol and that one's Susan, there's a lot of people who couldn't tell the difference.
The reason I want them separate though is because Carol is just more boring, whereas Susan I actively dislike.
Yes.
Yeah. All right.
All
So
right.
nobody's arguing.
No one's arguing.
Okay.
We are with
Not
you.
yet.
All right, Tricia,
Not yet.
what is number
Little-
19?
Number 19,
So what's
Yep.
the bottom of your list that hasn't been said?
Emily Waltham.
Yes,
Emily.
that's very bottom of my list too. Yes.
Really?
Oh,
You
I
say
mean,
that.
think about it.
You say that like
She's
it's
the worst.
surprising.
Well,
She
I wouldn't
is the
put her
worst.
that low. There's other people I think could be lower.
She's the worst. I mean, think about it.
Yes.
Okay, Ross and Rachel could have gotten together sooner if Emily would have never been in the picture.
But to
And
be fair,
Joshua.
though, that was all Rachel's fault.
Yes,
She's
I
the
know.
one that set it up. So I can't blame Emily for that. Like, she's a good distraction, a good person to kind of come back with the will they, won't they of Ross and Rachel. Like, they needed that because obviously they don't get together, like, actually till the very, very end of the
But I
show.
still don't like her. I never liked her. It's
Yeah.
that accent. Oh, who wants that? I'm just kidding.
I didn't
just
mind the
didn't like
accent.
her.
I
Yeah.
didn't mind her accent. I didn't like her personality. Like, especially, I mean, I get her being upset that Ross said the wrong name at the wedding. That's a little
Yeah.
bit wrong. But
just a
No,
little bit.
I get it. But,
I said the wrong name at the wedding, and Angie's like, "That's awesome."
right. Well,
but
she
the whole
like
thing, like, yeah.
she's
Right.
understandably like upset about that, but she just goes like crazy with
Uh-huh.
it, and
Like,
she
you-
tries
like,
to
you can't
take away
ever
his whole
yeah.
life. Yeah, and
you can't
and
ever
he's the
see
one with the
Rachel.
son, like, so
Yeah.
obviously he has to stay in New York and things like that, and she's just like exactly how I would say in real life. Like, if you can't trust somebody, then yeah, you shouldn't be married. So they ended her arc the right way in terms of her realizing that, but yeah, she's just not a super fun character.
Mm-mm.
You're frustrated about her the whole time.
The writers could have cared about her. They never made it so that we should care about her. They never gave her too much depth. But I can see where she's coming from, and if they would have done some scenes with just her and Ross, or even just her and like some other characters we don't know, like if this was modern, they probably would have done that, of like showing her insecurity about it, and then the fact that he said his ex-wife's name at the altar, and it's like, I can understand as a human being that I would feel very insecure about my new wife's relationship if she said someone else's name at the altar. And so you can understand why she'd be like, I don't want you hanging around with her. You can see that logically, but the writers never gave that even a chance. They always pitted on the side of Ross and all of that.
Because all they show is how it affects Rachel primarily, and you feel bad for Rachel.
Exactly.
So.
Yeah.
So I don't argue this, I guess.
So
I was
funny,
much more
my
shocked than I thought I would be.
So with my pick, the bottom four on my list end up being our bottom four, not in the exact right order. So I'm going to pick one that is just barely more of a character than Emma, which is Ben. Ben's Ross's other kid. Because like early on, the same thing. He was just an accessory for a while. In the later seasons, they actually got an actual actor to, and I think at this point he's old enough to be an actual actor. We talked about this last week with that.
Yeah,
but
I mean, he still is. They are, I should say, the twin brothers.
Yeah. But I mean, it just got to the point where less and less they had him on the show so like infrequently that they even made a joke that Ross's dad forgot that Ben existed.
Oh yeah,
remember that? Yeah. And so like since he's so unimportant to the story, I'll put Ben at number my fourth place pick.
And whenever they did have him on, he was just there as like a token obnoxious kid, you know?
Yeah.
Like he was never like nice to be around. Though if you really look at like Carol and Susan, you can kind of get why they're not going to portray him as this like docile, sweet kid or something like that, because they're not either of those things either. So
True.
Anyway.
I did like when he and Ross got back at Rachel for the pranking, when the whole Ross falling down the stairs prank.
Yeah.
That was funny.
Yeah, that was Ben's best episode for sure.
Yeah,
Everything
I
in
agree.
that
Yeah.
episode.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Well, I guess it's back to me. So I will jump.
No veto so far.
No vetoes. I'm going to jump on the other side that I had Carol right above Susan. So
Me too.
might as well say
Me
Carol
too.
right here. I get what you guys are saying. She's more docile and less aggressive, but still, she's not a fun character. Anytime it jumped into Carol and Susan territory, I'm just like, all right.
I feel like that's almost a storyline that like they knew they couldn't get rid of, but it was so early on that if it was anything else, like they would have just dropped it, you know, like they did as little as possible. It feels like with them, because they wanted Ross, like, yeah, you're a dad, but at the same time, we don't want to strap you down like you're an actual dad. So we'll just kind of pretend it's there, but somehow you're still a good dad, even though you never see it. So no, I agree that it's just not the best route to go, but
Yep.
all right. Well, again, we're going to be duking it out at the top. Like, I just know it because we haven't used any of our vetoes so far.
That's because these are the characters that like don't either are actively annoying or just nothing. There's like nothing to argue until you get a little bit higher in the list.
True. All right. Am I next?
Yep.
Okay. I put Charlie Wheeler.
Really?
Because when I read it, I said to myself, wait, who's Charlie Wheeler? So like, she's forgettable. You have to be like, oh wait, that's the person who's the scientist who Ross liked, but Joey dated, but then Ross stole from Joey. And I don't dislike her as an actress, but I just feel like she just wasn't that great. I don't know.
She's in some really funny scenes, but those weren't because of her.
Yes.
Sure. Yeah, in no point of this of Friends in the episode she was in did I like her.
Yeah.
As an actress, not as an actress, but as her character.
Which is so unfortunate, because what I remember Matt saying, like, oh, you're talking, like, I brought up something, and he's like, oh, you're talking about the girl from Whose Line Is It Anyway? I'm like, wait, what are you talking about? And he's like, oh yeah, she's from Whose Line Is It Anyway? And I'm thinking, are you kidding me? She's like, I don't think she made me laugh, like, hardly at all. And she just didn't strike me as a comedian type. So that's disappointing for me, even more so, to know that she is a funny person, but she didn't showcase that on the show, in my opinion.
I think she did. I actually had a a lot higher on my list, like 6 or 7 more spots higher. Because I thought she was pretty good. I liked her character, even though like I don't like how they ended it. Like, okay, we need to get her out of here. Have her fall back in love with Greg Kinnear, and then we're done. I thought that was a very anticlimactic way to end it, but I get that they needed to make room for Ross and Rachel again, and for Joey to, I don't know. I can't even remember who she was with at that time. She was with Ross. They did. I liked her. I liked the whole dinner scene that they had together. Of course, like Ross stole the show in that with I'm fine.
Yeah. And I'm making fajitas.
Yeah.
See, you thought this was going to be awkward. You are on fire.
Was it underwear, a toothbrush, and a Van Halen CD? I can use all these things.
Exactly.
I don't know. I liked her. I didn't have the problems you guys had with her, but I also didn't like her enough to use a veto, so whatever.
All right, Trisha's turn.
Janice.
No, Trisha,
veto.
don't
I
make
mean,
me use a
she-
veto.
I mean, she's so funny, but
Oh, good lord.
she's so freaking annoying.
Do you realize that we have not even done Mr. Heckles yet?
I know.
And you're putting Janice.
I know.
Well,
Seriously?
I vetoed it.
Okay, Brian vetoed it.
Okay, thank you,
Okay.
Brian.
Thanks, Brian. You took one for the team
Yeah.
because all three of us
Yeah.
are like, no, we can't do. She is so important to the
She's
story.
high up.
She's in every single season.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
I have Janice higher than some of the six friends.
Wow.
That's so funny.
Well, good then. You deserve to be the one to use it.
That's what you
Yeah.
get, Trisha.
I have no problem. Okay, go ahead, Brian.
All right, no, you get a,
You
you
get
still
to do
get
your
to pick
next one.
another one.
Oh,
It's
okay.
not Janice.
Oh, okay. Mr. Heckles. Yeah, that's my next one.
Okay, that's what I had for next too. So perfect.
I didn't.
him
I
a
actually had
couple
Mr.
higher, but-
Heckles a lot higher.
Really?
Yeah.
He's not even in that much
I had
of the
like-
show.
I had him a few higher, but it's okay where at this spot, I think.
I mean, he's funny in his different roles with all the bananas. Like, who needs a freaking ton of bananas for one monkey?
Well, I think that
But-
the reason that I had him higher than the people we've talked about so far is
Mhm.
simply because you kind of need him with the way they were as young adults. I feel like that's kind of a quintessential thing, like a rite of passage to have that annoying older neighbor that always thinks you're loud and obnoxious and is complaining. And I feel like that's just a very of the age that they were at in the early years, that it was very appropriate. And I felt like it needed that.
But he's also really weird. And
Yes.
so it really fit for the tone, especially because they're in New York. It fits to have a weird New York guy because there's plenty of those people around of just like, I feel creepy when I'm around you. And it gave some more life to even the apartment building. But like, this is what one of your neighbors is like. Crazy and insane. I think he was more important.
Yeah. And that really was leaned into though, like when he died and they left
Mhm.
everything to the friends, and how Chandler just had this, crisis of identity, thinking I'm going to end up like Mr. Heckles and like look at my hula girl and my weird stuff and my giant magnifying glass and like just kind of creepy. So it was interesting. It's how it's like they're like, let's take this even further to show you just how creepy he really was.
Yeah.
Mm.
Kind of like Brian. So Brian, let's hear.
Don't leave your stuff to us when you die, please.
He keeps sending me things in the mail.
Like his underwear. I'm just kidding.
That's a callback, something that people wouldn't have heard yet.
Yeah, but so what?
we make callbacks to inside jokes. That's what we do in the Rodenberg family.
All right. The controversial pick, I think this character had like one really funny moment, but other than that, she was really annoying. I'm going to go with Judy Geller, Ross and Monica's mom.
That's what I had too
Really?
for next. Yeah.
Because, of course she had, that's a lot of information to get in 30 seconds, which is a great line delivery. But outside of that, she's just kind of obnoxious and annoying. And she's like super critical of her kids, but she's not funny enough to kind of make up for it in my mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I don't disagree. It's exactly where I had her too, because I think of it in terms of what did they add to the storyline. It's like you have to have mom and dad somewhere in there, like you only have the Gellers and you need some sort of a parental figure.
Mhm.
Otherwise it's not so true to, again, the age that they're at, where your friends are your family. You got to have some family in there once in a while. And she just doesn't do a whole lot. She fills the space. I mean, she does fine with it, but they never try to make her more than she is.
I do like her. I like her reactions because, I mean, that's what her character is. Her character is to be a response to the oddness of her children and their friends. And so some of the best moments with her are, of course, the weird things like them all yelling about the stuff they're having troubles with at Thanksgiving, or, I can't. Oh, when they bring them home from from college and those flashback stuff, it's like getting to be a reflection of like this is what your parents would think, and so she's not always going to get like the funny lines, but I think she's a more integral to those scenes than that. Like Jack on that side gets the funny lines. Yeah. She gets like the actual real person mom lines, and there's some funniness to it, but Jack's the one who he steals the show with his jokes.
See, what they go for with her is the judgment eyes. Like, she doesn't get the funny lines. She has the face that just reacts, that 90% of the time it's going to be a judgment look that, you know, every kid has probably felt from their parents. So again, just like drawing in that reality of life in your 20-somethings that your parents don't always get it.
And the look that we give our kids all the time.
Yeah.
All right. Oh, it's me now. All right. So I am picking. So the next pick I've got, the one above that is one of the 6. So I actually have one of like the main 6 pretty low on the list. So I've got Gunther next. I'm
not going to veto it, but I would have him way higher.
I never found him funny. He, like, for the reasons that I said for Janice, I can see that being like used against me because he does pop up a lot. He's in so much of the show, but he's a straight man that his jokes don't land for me. He pines after Rachel, which is like, oh, okay, that's a thing. It's just like I don't really find his stuff funny. I think the funniest part was when what was it that like he had we reserve the right to refuse to anybody, and then like someone asked out like Rachel, and so he brings that over and like has them and like kicks them out. That was his funniest line that I had that I can think of.
My favorite Gunther moment. Oh, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Okay, so my favorite Gunther moment is when I think it's Joey is asking him like, "Is this your Porsche?" And he's like, "Yes, I make this much an hour. I saved up for 30,000 years or whatever it was." Like just like that dry sense of humor.
Yeah. Well, I think that Gunther, like, I had him a little higher on the list, and I'm not going to veto it because it's not that important to me.
Exactly. Gunther's not that important to us in our hearts.
But he is a staple. Like, there are few things that are like, you know, just consistent in every single season. Even there are, you know, jokes or different things that are made that like completely contradict each other in later seasons, you know, like they don't always follow a storyline through, you know, that sort of thing. But I like that they have Gunther and Janice too as just a staple in every season. You're going to see them. And I think that does serve a purpose to it too, to have somebody outside of just the 6 that you can kind of count on that's going to be there.
I feel like for like the next 5 picks, I'm gonna be saying why I would pick Gunther below them, just to prove. I feel like I've got something to prove now. All of a sudden, oh, this is why Gunther is worse.
I think we should mention, just like when we did this with The Office, there's only one actor on our list who's no longer alive. Gunther is the only deceased actor on our list.
Yeah, which is kind of amazing because Mr. Heckles is looking pretty old.
Yeah,
but good on him. Still making it.
Hopefully he makes an appearance in Better Call Saul, because he was in Breaking Bad. He was the junkyard owner.
Oh yeah, and he was in El Camino.
Yeah, so it would make sense for him to pop up in Better Call Saul, the final season. Yeah. All right, Angie, what's your next pick?
I had Jack Ellis.
No, veto. No, he's in like my top 5.
No. See, I don't. I know that you have like a man crush on him, but that's not because of Friends. You like him because of a bunch of other things he's been in. And this should be judged just on Friends alone. And to me, I like some of Jack's like lines and his delivery and stuff. But there are lots of times where it's like, I thought to myself, he could have delivered that way funnier. Like, and I found myself critiquing his acting that I'm like, well, that's not a great sign, you know? So I'm sticking with Jack Geller.
No, it's not because of other things. It's because of this show. Like we're playing hide and seek. Well, I can't tell you where he is, son. That's cheating. Like
but his voice when he says it is so cheesy. You know, like
that's what's so funny about it.
Oh my god, he is cheesy.
Yeah,
it's like in a lot of ways.
It's my birthday.
In a lot of ways, Jack reminds me of my dad.
Yeah, he nails the cheesiness of dad humor.
Like the painful dad humor.
It is. Yeah. It's painful, but it's really funny and really silly, and just like there's also a stupidity about it.
It comes across to me as bad acting sometimes, though. But
early on, when the whole thing where the grandma dies and then didn't die, he's just like, she may have died. We're looking into it.
When I was meeting Judy's parents for the first time, I told them I was a lawyer. Well, what did they say when you found out? Oh, they never did. So if you ever see me giving them legal advice, just nod along.
He's goofy. Yes,
he's so funny.
Definitely goofy.
I love when Phoebe is having her dreams about him.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
All right. What's another pick?
Oh, I gotta do another.
You get another one.
Okay, the next was David the Scientist. He's very mid-range to me.
Me too.
Well, there you go. Yeah, I like David. I think that he's kind of a different storyline. You know, like he kind of comes and goes, but you don't expect that he's going to come back. So whenever he does, it's kind of a surprise. And that's what I remember thinking as I was watching the seasons. Like, oh, there he is. Like, you are not surprised if Janice shows up. You're not surprised when you see Gunther. But for him, he was kind of like a pleasant surprise because he's such a positive thing in Phoebe's life. But at the same time, of course, he can't be higher up on the list because you only see him a handful of times throughout the show.
Yeah, I kept like wanting to put him higher. I'm like, oh, there's no one I can't move him up higher than he is. But he is one that I will admit I like him mainly because of Hank Azaria, because of the actor. I like him in a lot of other stuff he's in, but he's good in this.
He's like half the Springfield on The Simpsons.
Yeah, seriously. He does like 20, 30 voices on The Simpsons.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, lots of them.
Yeah.
All right, Tricia, you're up.
Frank Buffet Jr.
That's what I had.
Yeah.
And why did you put him next?
So Frank is really funny. I mean, his relationship with his teacher, his home ec teacher, I think he was just trying to get some free curtains or something. But he's just so funny. But he really isn't. I mean, he's in there a handful of times again, and he's just not very pertinent to the entire storyline. Yeah. Though he adds a great character in it, but it's just not.
I think they wrote him as such a good character to be a sibling of Phoebe's.
Absolutely.
Because you have to have some weirdness.
Yes.
And he does it in such a way that you're like, this guy is so whacked out. But at the same time, there's almost this like lovableness about him.
Endearing, yeah.
It's endearing, which is shocking. Because you look at like the stats of like who he is and his character, like you're like,
he's childlike.
Because he is kind well, especially when you're dating somebody 30 years older than you, but just how he is even after they have the triplets and everything, how he's just like the exhausted dad, like
I constantly quote, I haven't slept in 4 years.
Well, then he's trying to give job. Yeah, he's trying to give Phoebe one of the triplets, and they go through. He says, no. He's like, I think you're out of kids. He just takes a second. Oh, I think you're right.
Yeah, he's good. I like him. He's a really good actor.
Yeah, I like, and he's got the most like Italian name ever, Giovanni Ribisi. Like you don't get much more Italian than that.
Yeah,
the actor that is, of course.
Yeah, it was like,
yeah.
I think you're wrong.
So good placement, Tricia. I applaud that.
Thanks.
Yeah,
these guys, they're colluding, Brian.
No,
knock him down a peg.
Didn't even talk about it. Nothing.
Well, so it's my pick now, right?
Yep.
So Matt, I know you said you were doing it next round, but I'm going to beat you to it. If no one vetoes it, we're going to have our first friend on the list. I'm going to go with Monica.
Really? No, I can't let that go that early. I got to say veto. She's my 4th favorite friend.
I'm going to let Matt take this bullet too.
I'm out of vetoes now, just so we all know. Just so that we're
aware. We're gonna run this joint, Tricia.
I have one more. I'm specifically saving my veto for one person, and in case one of you tries to pull something funny.
Oh, okay.
I feel confident that like my number 1 isn't going to get shot too early, or like my number 2.
If my number 1 isn't in the top 3, I will be shocked.
Yeah.
Anyway,
but I feel like Monica's got to be higher.
Yeah. Thank you for taking
well, if I can't pick Monica, then I will go with her ex-boyfriend Richard.
Oh, yep, that's where I had him too.
Oh,
Same.
I like Richard,
too.
but I might have him close. Couple above.
Yeah, no,
He's-
he's good.
If it weren't for her relationship with Chandler, we would probably be rooting for them to get back together.
100.
This is another one. I like him mainly because of Tom Selleck, but I do like his character. His character is really well done. He plays himself in a big way. Like Tom Selleck is Tom Selleck in this, and so you've got like that classic manly grown-up type person. Yeah. I mean, there is a reason why so many people love Tom Selleck, and he brings his charm into the character of Richard really well.
Yeah.
I feel like with him too, they made him the writers wrote him perfectly to be like the perfect man for Monica, like literally, like completely to a T, perfect for Monica. But it's also the reality of the situation of like, okay, but if we don't want them to end up together, there has to be very real reasons why they wouldn't. And that was very real. To me, that was like one of the most realistic arcs that they had, was like, yeah, they wouldn't end up together even though they're great with each other because of something like that, a deal breaker of him not wanting to have kids because he's already done that stage of life. And so I think he does a great job. I think that he delivers it really funny. I love how early on when they're dating, the guys' response to Richard is hilarious. Like they want to be just like him.
You got that stash.
Oh my gosh, like it was so funny. And I feel like too that at their ages for that time that they were playing, like it was very appropriate for them to be like, I don't feel like I'm a man compared to you. I need to be a man. You know? It was
and
so
that's
funny.
how all of us men felt watching him too.
Yeah.
I love how pragmatic Richard is too. Like there's that episode where him and Monica couldn't get together because they didn't have their adult item, and then he's just like, if I could get you the schedule in advance next time, that'd be great.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
He's not used to juvenile problems like that. Right?
And the worst that we ever saw of Richard was the final episode he was in when he tries to sneak in when Chandler's going to propose to Monica, and he tries to sneak in and beat her to it. And like that was the most not mature that we saw of him, and the most petty that he was. And even that wasn't so bad, but it was like up until that point we didn't see a lot of negatives about Richard.
He got to live his life and discover, gosh, he had a good thing.
Yeah.
Isn't that a lot of men?
Yeah.
I was not realizing. I actually literally just got done watching that right before we got on here. I'm in the middle of the proposal episode 1 and 2. And to be honest, I get Richard in that, because if he realizes that, he's like, this is my last chance. If I don't do this, like, I'm going to regret it. And so I don't fault him, like how they have it written out and everything. I don't fault his character at all for taking the chance when he thinks that this is his very last shot of being able to get Monica. So I don't feel like they do it in a way that villainizes him too much. And even so, like, he steps aside, you know, for Chandler.
Yeah, he does have a mature conversation with Chandler, which is not a lot of men would be doing that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, now I might be the first one on the board unless this is vetoed. I'm picking a different friend at this point. And Brian, in other episodes, I've said that there's a certain type of personality type that I hate with characters. Do you remember what that is? Can you pull it out?
Yeah, you hate divas like Jenna Maroney and Donna and Miss Piggy and all the characters. So
I hate divas, so I hate entitled people like Rachel Green. She has plenty of moments through, because I mean she's in all the episodes, so she's got plenty of redeeming moments, but there is just that part of her core that is off-putting to me and is the lowest of the friends for me.
I'm going to veto that. I think it's worthwhile because she is actually written to be a person that is hard to like, but yet she acts in such a way that you still like her.
So
Maybe
much.
the least, but you still like her. And that, to me, that shows incredible range for her as an actress to be able to pull that off. I mean, if you just like isolate some of the lines that she has to say, if you're just reading that, you're thinking, God, she's so rude, or she's so entitled, or she's such a diva, or whatever. But the way she delivers it, it manages to be like endearing. And I think that that's a real talent. So,
That's
and I
true.
think she's just such an integral part of every episode.
Yeah.
So I veto that.
Well, in season 1, Rachel is such a different person than season 10 Rachel.
Oh
Yeah.
yes,
Yep.
definitely.
Yeah. I mean, you still see that pop up, like when she has the reading class with Phoebe and is like, well, did you read the book? Well, I found something better to read, Vogue. And she's like, yeah, that's kind of annoying to me. Like, you feel for Phoebe in that. You feel for her.
It's because she's popular and
Yeah.
Matt wasn't popular in high school.
I wasn't. I'm still not. We only have
We're all
3
shocked.
subscribers. And those are all Brian's family.
Poor guy.
No, just kidding. All right. Well, then the pick that I replace it with is, oh my God, Janice.
Oh, you're gonna put it here now?
I'm
That's
okay
where
with
I put
that.
it.
Okay.
Oh,
That's not
I
far
still
removed
had
from me.
I
Don't
still
mind
had
it.
Janice 5 spots higher, but I'll let it go.
You'll
Yeah.
allow it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think
Janice
we're okay
Janice
with
was
it.
my Janice was my number 4.
There are characters that are written to be annoying and they're annoying, and there's characters that are written to be annoying and they're actually pretty funny. She walks that line like a freaking pro, man.
Yeah.
Like, she never gets too annoying, but she is always on that side where you're like, yeah, too much of her. Like, the writers knew the right amount to use Janice without overusing her, and that is very talented.
Yeah.
You know, she's
Yeah.
on Everybody Loves Raymond, and she's not funny at all. It's
That's
so
true.
Well,
honest.
it's weird
She
to
did a
see
good job.
her. I mean, in like anything else she plays, she's not anything like that character. Like when I saw her in The Parent Trap, like the Lindsay Lohan version,
Uh-huh.
I'm like, oh my gosh, that's totally the same person. But I mean, she plays that character just so wonderfully, and that's the way that that the world knows her. Let's be honest, that's her claim to fame. So
Yeah.
I think it's good there.
Yeah, I just love, like, she just pops up in Chandler's life at all the wrong moments. It's great. And on the one with Rachel and Ross's when they're having a baby in their life at the wrong moment.
Yeah. I will
That's
say, I
awesome.
thought it was super funny when when she's dating Ross really briefly when he's like
Oh,
his life
yeah.
is falling apart. And the fact that they did like the opposite, they made him so annoying and so whiny and complaining that she breaks up with him. I thought that was a great way to go because you
Uh-huh.
expect it to be the opposite, of course. And so I thought, good job, writers.
Mhm.
And they did the great thing in that episode. The bare minimum they needed in that episode was for Janice to barge in and have everybody notice that Ross was dating Janice, which they did, and that was a great moment. And yeah, it wouldn't have been worth to go any longer than one episode. So
Yeah.
I'm glad for that episode.
Yeah, they did it very well.
I can see what Angie's pick is going to be, and I'm mad that I'm out of vetoes.
I'm not.
Sorry. Is it my turn?
Yep, it is.
Okay. My next is
Oh, you still could say
What?
the one I vetoed earlier. He's still on there, isn't
he
he?
is? No.
Didn't we?
David?
No.
No, Jack.
No.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jack is
He's
still on
the
there
list.
because I vetoed him.
Jack is still on the list.
So you can
Okay,
say
then I'm gonna go with Jack. No, he definitely has to
I'm
go there.
steering you into it to save this character for another round.
No,
maybe.
I do agree with that. I thought that we were already done with Jack.
Funny.
Yep.
So yeah, okay,
did
sure.
too.
We'll go with Jack because he definitely has to be below the person I was going to save. So we'll save that.
This is a much
Yeah.
better spot.
Okay.
I think
then
we've said everything we
nobody's
need to say about
gonna
Jack,
complain. Yeah, I think so
except
too.
except that Elliot Gould has the distinction of being the only actor to make cameo appearances in more than one Muppet movie.
You would know that.
I would know that.
Just when you think you can't escape a Muppet fact, Brian leaps out of the shadows with one equipped.
Do you have like a rule, like, like there was like 7 degrees from Kevin Bacon? You can name a degree from Muppets, something with every
I don't have a
movie?
rule, but I mean they've done so much. I probably could even without trying.
Really?
I mean, every Muppet movie is packed to the gills with cameos, so it's
It's
not
true.
super
Yeah.
hard.
Now
to
he's
open.
gonna go home and he's gonna do that.
Yeah.
That'll be your next episode.
Yep.
Yep.
There you go.
All right, Tricia.
Trisha.
Mine was Ross.
Ooh.
If no one vetoes him,
I'm gonna veto. Wait,
Oh.
is that my last?
that would be your last.
Oh
yeah.
my gosh, guys.
Does Ryan have any more?
I have one, but I'm
Okay.
not using one on
He's
Ross.
got one.
Okay.
Trisha is full
Okay,
of vetoes
no,
over
he's gonna be worth it. Okay, Ross is worth it.
there.
Okay.
Weird. Okay.
Ross is worth it to me because Ross is actually so good at what he does. as a character, like if you're choosing who's going to be your friends, he's not like one of the top for me. But him as an actor, him delivering the lines he does, he's so like methodical. He like makes things funny that like, how did you think of doing it that way? Like when he says to Charlie, like when Charlie and what's that guy's name? That he's a
Greg
scientist.
Kinnear, Greg
Kinnear, like
Rory?
they're like realizing that they're still in love, and he's like, this is making me feel a little awkward or something like that. And he's like doing this weird thing with his hands, like fingers, like drumming his fingers. Like he's super awkward about it. Like, yeah, this is making me feel a little uncomfortable. And he's just so good at like figuring out how to deliver lines in a very unique way. And so I think that we don't realize how much we would miss Ross if we didn't have him.
My favorite like of that for Ross is, I think it's with Emily, that he gets a phone call and Emily like agrees to see him or something like that. But he gets so excited on the phone that he picks up the lamp and hands it to Chandler, just like it's one swoop motion. Like that's so natural for him. And Chandler takes it, and then all of a sudden he's like, what? Why am I holding a lamp?
Also, I believe that wasn't scripted. I think they just did that in the take.
Yeah, I completely believe that, because that is just a natural, like, I'm so giddy, I have all this energy, what do I do? Is something weird and unnatural, but it works.
Yeah. See, I think that he's really great at what he does. And I would have argued with myself, you know, like earlier on, like when I was watching the show and it was in production and everything like that. But honestly, looking back and like growing up a little bit more, I'm like, wow, he's actually so good at that. He's so good at what he does.
Yeah,
maybe this is why it was written for him.
Maybe.
He's given the least, but he does so much with it.
Yeah, he does. And he's a person that you could easily not like, but at the same time, like, he does a good job balancing that, like, okay, you're being an annoying, like, scientist guy, you're boring. You know, that's the thing that they stick him with all the time, is that he's boring with talking about science and all that sort of thing and fossils. But yet, he honestly, like, if you actually go through and count the laughs that you have, I bet you a lot more than you think are attributed to Ross.
Okay, so then my next one is going to be Rachel.
I'm good with
I'm
that.
okay with that, actually. Well, I have to be okay with that. I don't have any vetoes left. Tricia, you're pretty much like golden here. Like, you're going to be the ruler.
Does she still have both her vetoes?
She does.
She's got both of them.
And all of us are out.
Well,
Brian,
not
one.
Brian. He's got one.
Oh,
He's
I thought you were
saving
out.
it.
Okay, Brian, what's yours?
I'm glad that Rachel is on the list, because now it officially means that the 6 friends aren't just in the top 6, because that would be boring. But yeah, I'm going to go back to Monica, who I think should have already been gone a while back again.
She was my lowest for the friends.
No problem.
Because Monica is just so unlikable. I mean, they all have humanizing aspects, but I think out of the friends, she is definitely the most like unredeemed. Like, she's just so grating, and everything's got to be her way. And like, she grows a little bit here and there, but it's not really. At the end, she still, even last season, she rips apart the foosball table with her bare hands. Like, why?
You know, we had I feel like there's a similar idea that we had when we were talking about The Office and why Paul loved like Jan so much. Monica's a type of character that, like, in real life, she would get on your nerves. But in the concept of a sitcom, there's a lot of really funny moments with her. You find yourself rooting for her. I mean, for me, I find myself rooting for her because, honestly, I love Chandler so much. And like, they end up being as a couple. So I root for that couple. But I don't specifically root for her. I just laugh at her. I enjoy her comedy.
Well, and they make her seem like she's so much better than him, like better than Chandler. Like, he's so lucky to have her because she's like better looking. But it's like, realistically, in terms of personality, he's the better of the two, you know?
Yeah.
Plus, Chandler's not unattractive himself.
Sure.
I don't think.
Yeah, whatever you say, Brian. You know,
all the women are not.
They're not joining in with you on this one. Tom Selleck all the way.
He's not ugly.
Well, he was hot as a kid when he was Zac Efron.
Yeah, I don't know what happened. That's hilarious.
Okay. Your turn, Matt.
Oh, is it me?
Yeah.
Because you had Monica, Brian? All right.
And you couldn't do
So
final 5.
We're in the final 5.
Round.
And so I'm glad that the non-friend made it in, the one non-friend. I have Ross as my number 5. Is this okay, Ange? Well, you don't have.
It doesn't
You
matter.
don't have
I
any.
guess. Not that
It's
I-
okay with Tricia, so that means it's
Actually,
okay.
you know what? That's only like one remove from what I have, so that's fine.
I feel the same way as Angie about him. That when I was watching it, he was my least favorite, but I really have come to respect what David Schwimmer does with the character. And like, even though we already have taken Ross and Rachel out, we wouldn't have a show without that romance. They were the definition of the will they won't they. They kept a lot of storyline together, even if Chandler Monica was a better couple and more interesting to watch and had the better arcs.
Which
if I'm
who saw
gonna be
that
completely
coming?
honest.
For real, who saw that coming? Like,
Yeah.
even the writers were surprised at that. That
Yeah.
says something because the people just loved it. The audience loved it.
Yeah,
Am I the only one who didn't hate Rachel and Joey?
you might be.
I
not
liked
for the
it, but then it
timing.
just couldn't happen.
Yeah. It's weird. It's like almost like there was a life of it outside of even what the writers could force, you know, like how the writers themselves were surprised that like Monica and Chandler worked. Like, that's funny to me. Like, that wasn't their plan all along to keep them together. That was meant to just be like a story arc and then they're done with it. And so I almost like wonder if they just like toyed with it a little bit to see how it would feel, which is exactly what those characters did. They toyed with it to see how it would feel, and it just didn't work, you know? So I think it made sense, but I feel like you could have taken that whole arc out and been good.
It's definitely not like Troy and Britta from Community levels of bad for relationship.
Yeah,
but it's
agreed.
I don't side with your take of how good you liked it. I don't know.
Okay.
No, they're too good of just friends.
Yeah,
like-
I suppose.
She wouldn't respect him enough as, you know, in a relationship, you know, that sort of thing. They're too different.
It's also good that they didn't just default to Joey and Phoebe when it got down to it.
Because they totally could have, and people would have liked to see them try,
And
because
they're
they've alluded to that.
they're like brother and sister.
They
that's
really
true.
are. Yeah.
Joey
But they're
reminds me a
so
lot of
funny
Justin.
together. Yeah. Justin's our brother.
Mhm.
Well, they mentioned on screen. Remember, Joey's like, well, Ross and Rachel, Chandler, Monica, should we do something? And Phoebe goes into the whole thing like, well, yeah, we do, but I'm going to marry Chandler and divorce him, and you're going to have kids with Rachel, and then I'm going to kill Ross. And
Yeah,
Get
exactly.
Chandler's money. Yeah.
Yeah. They're just so fun together.
Rachel's beautiful babies.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, they're fun together, but yeah, they don't work. So,
You're up, Ange.
oh my goodness. Okay, Matt, you might not like it, but we're going with Mike Hannigan. Okay.
He's
It's
my number
impressive.
2. Just so everyone
So
knows, he's
number
my
two?
number 2. Yes.
It is impressive that Paul Rudd could take a character that's like what, in 1.5 seasons or 1 season,
Mm-hmm.
and
2
do
seasons,
as
yeah.
much with it as he did, and like that he can be this high up on the list. That says a lot, but it also says a lot. I keep coming back to the writers because let's be honest, you know, like they're the ones coming up with this stuff, but they wrote a really good compliment to Phoebe. Like, he can't be the same like zaniness. Like, she couldn't be with somebody like a Frank Jr. that's just like kind of psychotic, you know, but he also has to like be fascinated by the weird of her and embrace that, but yet at the same time also kind of like ground her and anchor her, that you would see them as a real couple that could make it.
Yeah, Mike could have easily been just like an accessory to Phoebe and been a bland character, but he held his own. He had his own quirkiness, his own funny lines, and so I had him very high on my list too.
I thought of vetoing you, but then I was like, it's okay. Because he is Paul Rudd is one of my favorite actors, if not my number one. I think he is beautiful. I think he is so funny.
Oh my god.
And he brings so much to the character. I mean, seriously, crap bag? You don't even know what a banana hammock is?
See, his first name's Crap, last name Bag. If you
Yeah.
have a hard time remembering it, just think of a bag of crap.
That's right.
Aren't you going to introduce me? This is crap bag.
Favorite. That might be my favorite line in the whole series. I love that whole interchange.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like when Phoebe punches Dad, he just casually says like, "I'm gonna go check my dad for signs of internal bleeding."
Oh,
Yes. Yeah, he does
Which his dad-
a great job.
Which his dad was the evil president of the 24 who orchestrated the death of David Palmer, so I'm okay with him having a little bit of bleeding.
I also really loved like like when they tried to give something with him and Ross, and then they decided to hone in on it being just weird and awkward. They have nothing to talk about.
Yeah.
That was so good, and both of them just feeding off of each other was a tremendous scene, especially when Mike like climbs over Ross to answer the phone. It's for you.
Oh, that
He's
was
like,
so good.
I don't understand what just happened here.
Yes. Oh my gosh, that is great.
And Ross says like, Mike played with the boundaries of acceptable social conduct, and Mike's just like, "Yep, I did."
Oh my gosh, he does. He has like a youthfulness about him that he can just like say things, and you're just like, "I love you." And I love too even how they had him come in the first place. I love that it was Joey that inadvertently set them up. I think that was just like a really smart way to bring a non-main character into it, because it's like, how is she going to meet him? Because they've had her have a ton of boyfriends throughout the seasons, and why is this guy different? And it was just such a funny way to do things, and I felt like the randomness of it was just very appropriate. And I loved how Joey got to feel like when they got married like a father figure, and just the way that they're like best friends back from high school. So yeah, he does such a good job. And I agree with you, Brian. He really does hold his own, especially when you consider the fact that he beat out some of the friends to be where he is. So
exactly.
Yeah.
My next one.
It's tough. Top 3.
Oh wait, no, I already went. It's you.
I picked Mike Hannigan.
No, she picked
you
Mike.
did.
Yeah,
So
you
it's
disagree.
you.
Wow.
So who are you taking out? Chandler? Joey? Chandler? Really?
No.
Do it,
Oh wait,
Brian.
veto. Yeah, veto.
Yes!
This is why I was saying my veto.
Oh my gosh. Of course, like Phoebe and Joey are gonna be your top. Like for real.
Of course.
Oh my gosh.
All right, so here's the hard one. Who do you pick between Phoebe and Joey?
Joey.
Really?
Yes.
Number 3.
Nope,
Yes.
agree.
Joey
He's
was
my number 3.
2 by a long shot.
Brian and I,
okay.
we don't like women. Phoebe was lower.
No.
Okay.
Phoebe was higher than Ross.
Funny.
Oh my goodness.
So now it's you.
Well,
Okay.
we can't just. Well, I mean, we have to be. No one else has vetoes.
Yeah, we have to talk about Joey a little bit. We can't just gloss over Joey.
Okay, Joey. I will say that Joey is an easier role to play than some of the other ones,
Joey's
in
a
my
star,
opinion.
Yeah.
But I do love him. I do love him.
Joseph Stalin. He's wonderful.
Yeah.
I mean,
Joseph Stalin, he's wonderful.
If
Like,
I was
pull
gonna,
that quote out.
If I was gonna date one of the Friends characters, it'd be Mike Hannigan, meow, or it would be Joey.
Tom Selleck.
Not for his slutty ways, but for his personality and his
goofy.
He's so goofy and fun and dumb, and like
Tricia loves a good dumb guy.
The trademark, by the way, the trademark "slutty ways" is belongs to Tricia. So if you want to use that phrase, you have to write her in and see if that you can use it.
Yeah, Tricia
and Joey's
dot.
Joey's also like one of the most genuine friends. Like he obviously he's not always great with women, but when it comes to his friends, he's always there for them.
Oh yeah,
oh yeah.
Uh-huh. And how he is there for Phoebe. Like, what's her nickname for it?
Big Daddy.
Big Daddy. Yeah, something like
We
that.
try out new nicknames for each other. We meet about once a week to discuss you guys.
I just love their relationship.
I think about this like when Joey thinks that Monica is when Joey thinks that Chandler is cheating on Monica, even though Chandler's his best friend, he doesn't at all like try to cover for Chandler. He jumps in and is like, "You son of a bitch."
Yeah.
He is great. He plays lovable Oath so well. Like, that character arc or that character trope has been done in so many shows, but he is one of the best, maybe second only to Chris Pratt in Parks and Rec, but he plays that character super well.
Oh my gosh. If you pick Chris Pratt
too.
against Joey, oh my gosh. That would be,
that'd
be a tough one.
Or Chris Pratt against Paul Rudd.
Can't Tricia, you just want Marvel heroes.
Yeah, I do.
Chris Evans, yes. Chris Hemsworth, yes. Any Chris.
No, it'd be Chris Evans there of all of them. Chris, oh no.
Outside of Marvel, I would also put Eric Matthews in Boy Meets World in the kind of the Joey category of character.
Yeah.
He's that category for sure.
Yeah.
I don't think he does it nearly as well.
Maybe
he does it well, but not nearly as well as.
So it has to be another duke it out best oath.
That's not a bad idea.
There'll be a shorter list probably, but
you'd be surprised. There are a lot.
Yeah.
But I mean, that is usually what they partner with. Like if you have low smarts, you make up for it with a big heart of gold. And so he does have a huge heart, almost as big as his stomach, which is another great factor of Joey. Joey doesn't share food. Oh my gosh, yeah. Love that line. So much.
And just the lines that they're able to have, just looking at Joey like, are you kidding me right now? Like especially between like Ross and Chandler, like it is a treasure trove between like his dumbness for Ross and then just how Chandler likes to make everything into a joke. It is just gold to have a character like Joey.
Well, I can't even remember what the punchline is, but there was like the face that Joey made where he's like mad and then like the realization. What's the line before that? Because you guys know Friends better than I do. The
realization before what?
I think it was even the same thing with
interacting with Phoebe. He's interacting with Phoebe. Oh, she's trying to trick him into something. I'm gonna think of it, but you guys keep going.
Into what?
No, it's something like
continued.
A friend doesn't have to explain why or something that. Sure. Like it was like she is like trying not to tell him the truth of something.
Friend means never having to
give a reason.
Yeah, to never give a reason, something like that. And he was like, he probably does it more than just that time.
Yeah, there's another time I feel like
Joey does good faces, though.
He does. He's so good.
All right.
Also,
that's enough Joey time?
That's enough Joey time.
One last thing. I love the scene. Did you guys watch the Friends reunion on HBO Max?
Yes.
I love that scene where they talk about how Courtney Cox had written her lines all over the set, and he erased them one day, and she got so mad at him.
Oh yeah,
his giddiness, Matt LeBlanc's giddiness, and remembering that was just great.
Yeah, yep. I feel like he's a person that looks back at it with like the most good memories, and I feel like I'll say this: he seems like the most secure out of all of them as people, like actors. As just themselves, because Matthew Perry, he has an insecurity about him, and I feel like all of them have a certain degree of insecurity, but Joey, like Matt LeBlanc, I feel like he's just confident, and he's just like, that was awesome that I was here for this ride, and I'm just going to enjoy it, and he's just going to be himself, and he's going to continue on with life and leave it at that. He doesn't have to keep one-upping himself, so to speak, but he's actually gotten a decent amount of work since then, successful things. So
I like The Man with the Plan, his other show.
Yeah, I will say I did quit watching that like after probably a season or two, because I'm like, it's the same thing all the time. They're always, the husband and wife are always just trying to trick each other, so it got a little old. But
it was interesting because his wife on that was originally supposed to be Jenna Fisher, Pam from The Office.
Really?
Yeah,
that's very different casting.
Very.
They actually let her go like right away at the beginning because I guess test audiences couldn't get over Pam marrying Joey.
Yeah, I get that. But I actually like the woman they have for the wife. But I mean, that's here nor there for this conversation. But
yeah. All right. Well, I feel vindicated because on the Office one, Paul cut me off at the very end and cut off me from letting Dwight be in the final two. Whereas now I saved my veto to right a wrong. And I am going to make Phoebe number 2 and save Chandler for number 1, as it should be.
Yes, that's exactly what mine is.
As was written.
But I still have a veto.
You do.
Oh, no. She does.
What are you going to do? Tricia, Renee.
Oh, my gosh.
So you said Chandler and Phoebe?
Tricia.
So I said, well, I mean, technically I picked number 2. So I pick Phoebe as number 2 unless you veto it and make the bad choice.
I feel powerful right now.
You should.
Are you vetoing it? She's toying with you, Brian. Your emotions.
It's happening again.
And you even played it right, too.
Yeah.
You didn't know you were playing with Tricia. I feel so powerful. I feel lower than God.
Well, that's good.
I often feel this way.
It's a weird way to put it.
All right, what are you going with?
Chandler wins.
Oh, you're gonna let him have it. All
She
right.
didn't be
Thank
told.
Okay.
you are a
He
kind
wants to be
person.
invited back. That's what it is.
Yeah. And all is
Sorry, I
right
had
in the
to mess with
world.
you. Because I was thinking about it. It's different on my page, but I was thinking about it and I'm like, I love Chandler. He's fantastic and he's so funny and he's got, you know what? One of it, because you like to women like to like imagine that, okay, like I haven't used this marker yet because, and I want to make sure they're all happy. We're weird like that sometimes. We're like,
What? All of your markers are happy?
no, like taking inanimate objects and being like, and I've heard of other women doing this, and I did this as a child, being like, oh, I haven't used that color yet. I have to use
You
that
like
one.
don't want to
Oh.
make them feel bad?
Yes.
That's
Got
hilarious.
it.
So I'm doing that with Chandler as I'm listening to this, and I'm like,
I don't do
Chandler
that for the
has
record.
been so rejected.
Oh,
throughout his life.
Trisha,
And I was
that's
like, Chandler
hilarious.
needs a win.
Oh my gosh.
This is my favorite reasoning ever.
Because you feel sorry for Chandler. Chandler doesn't need your pity.
No, but that's also the thing is Chandler wins on his own because he's so funny and he doesn't think that he's ever good enough. It's true, but at the same time he's so funny and he really earns it. He really does earn it. So
Yeah.
I agree with you.
I have seen the Friends series so many times.
So many
And
times.
Same.
Yeah,
It's like
same.
seriously so many times. It's just like I want to show on in the background. Okay, I'm gonna have Friends on. And so I have like specifically paid attention to basically the question of who are like the top friends like in my head. And so I noticed it, like I watched it strategically to figure out who do I laugh at the most, what story arcs do I enjoy the most. And one of my all-time favorite, the thing that decided it for me, was the episode where they don't know that we know that they know that we know,
Yeah.
you know? And then you have Phoebe matched up with Chandler, which is just comedic gold because they're amazing. They are my top people that if I'm laughing really hard, chances are they're involved. They're just the best characters in my opinion. So I'm really happy that they are the top two, but it is just, they're the best. So good job, Tricia. Way to go. We are all winners here
I
today.
didn't use any of my vetoes.
Really?
Not one.
Oh well.
So does that mean if she's on another one of these episodes, they carry over and she'll have 4?
No, sorry. They're like vacation days. They don't roll over.
So we got to talk
You know,
about
think about-
Phoebe though. Too.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
What are we
Yeah.
gonna say though, Brian?
I think with Chandler, what I like about Chandler is, you know, in these shows we always talk about the interconnection between his friends. Like, I think they do pretty good at having every pairing of the 6 friends have something funny. I think one of the weaker pairs is Chandler and Rachel, but even those two have some really funny moments, like when they're eating pie or eating cheesecake off the floor.
Yeah.
And then at the end, when
What are we
when
having?
everyone's and then when Chandler's like, "I'm not great with the advice. Can I interest you in a sarcastic comment?" It's one of my favorite lines.
Yep.
So, I mean, just like they were able to have him have something with every other friend, which is great.
And the fact that in a show that has 6 really funny characters, he's still thought of as the comedic relief.
Yeah.
To have comedic relief with 5 other hilarious characters shows just how funny he is.
Well,
And
and
I
I'll say-
identify. I think I always identify. I'm a combination of Chandler and Abed.
Oh, yeah, nice. Yeah, I think though with Phoebe, that girl can hold her own. Like
Oh,
Lisa
yeah.
Kudrow, like I really noticed this during the Friends reunion. She's freaking hilarious. Like it's just who she is as a person. She doesn't even need it to be written for her. She's just a funny person and she holds her own so well, especially because her character, how she's written, could be like really kind of annoying. You know, like in the wrong hands, it could be a person you just don't even like. But she is so good. She has such a lovability about her. But at the same time, she's can have that edge. Like you believe any side that she does because she's so versatile. And it's like you believe that she can be the person, you know, that has a friend that mugs people on the street. But then you can also believe that she's going to have a Volvo and be a soccer mom with Mike, you know, later on. And she's just such a great character. And part of it that makes her be able to toe that line is just how funny she is. She's so lovable.
I love her.
Yeah, she's so off the wall.
Phoebe always has her fierceness that she had when she was like on the street, but now that she has actual friends to stick up for her, it's like she can be that fierce for the people she cares about.
Yeah. And Lisa Kudrow has like a 10 switch where she'll every now and then like bump up what she's doing, where she's just screaming and just all out like the I love Jacques Cousteau line, or the my eyes, or like when she's reading lines with Joey and she's like acting.
I love that.
Dead, doomed, or what? I don't remember.
No, she's like, I could do it on my own. And she like has her hands up in a fist, like. She's hilarious.
So she has that, but she doesn't fall back on that. Like, that's not just her only thing that she falls back on. She has the versatility of like the weird, crazy side comment that you don't see coming out of nowhere. Or she has like the softness. I was trying to think about it because like I put her a little lower for one thing with this, where I was like, but there's not a lot of like heart with her. But then I started thinking about it, like, there's a ton. Like, I thought it was just the first couple seasons where it's like, okay, what about her mom and that sort of truth? But there's a lot more as I was thinking about it. The triplets, exactly. Mm-hmm. Like when her dad comes back in the picture later, there's a lot of different stuff, and that just because she didn't have that like same, like the Chandler Monica thing within the Friends group, they brought in Mike, but they didn't have like any of the ups and downs that she so much did. Yeah. Sorry. That she didn't have that same, they had a little bit with, or they're going to break up, but they didn't. But it was deeper with Ross and Rachel. It was deeper with Chandler and Monica. And like, that's at first where I came from. But I was like, wait, no, she had a lot of emotional things. Yeah. They gave a lot of emotional weight to her.
She was also the peacekeeper. Like, there are actually like several different times where it's like, if Monica and Ross,
where she grabs the ears.
Not Ross. Monica and Rachel are fighting, and I'm sorry, but it was like brilliant. She's like, "Oh, I don't think I want to live with Rachel anymore because you guys hate each other. I don't want to end up like that." And then they go the exact opposite. And let me say all the great things about him. Like, she ends up being a peacekeeper in a way that is not the traditional way, except for maybe when she grabs ears of people and makes them like calm down. But she's really unassuming. Like, I feel like she's always a surprise, and you need that in such a quality show like this. So
I really loved her scene with Mitzi and his dad, Mike's dad, and like the whole meeting the family scene where she's like,
Mike Hannigan's mom and dad.
Yep, 8 bathrooms, and I just threw up in the cloak closet. Yes, it's so funny.
Oh my gosh, yes, when she does her like waspy persona.
Yes. Mitzi, blah, blah. I can't even do it. But when she's like,
where do y'all summer?
Oh, is this baby cow? This is my favorite to eat. Like, yay.
Or the sudden appearances of Regina Phalange.
Oh, yeah. Yep. That's so funny.
Joey's agent.
And all of her music, too, and all of her crazy songs, which they kind of dropped after a while, but I thought those were funny.
Oh, yeah.
So good. Yeah, she's fantastic. Yeah. She had to be in my top 2 because she's just fantastic. There's no Friends without Phoebe.
Yeah.
No.
And I love that she was going to unfriend Monica, like get rid of her, like phase her out.
That's believable.
Yeah. I moved out this lamp. Oh, the stereo needs to be fixed. The lamp needs to be fixed. Rewired.
And we couldn't put Phoebe too low on the list, because if we did, she'd give us a painting that she made herself with a man coming out of it.
Oh my gosh.
Gladys,
Terrifying. And we all understood if you were in the position of Rachel or Monica, you'd be doing the exact same thing. I don't want it.
I want to light it on fire. I don't want my house to be haunted.
Oh, and what they do with Joey, that's hilarious. The painting's haunted. That was so great. What a great
play. And then how
play.
Monica does the same thing to her right after.
Yeah. Yes.
So one thing I want to talk about the show in general is like, I think what the strong part about it is that it's so consistent. There's no cast changes. There's nobody who's added to the main cast. No one leaves the main cast. It's always the same 6. It's not like The Office where it's like, oh, this is the years without Michael. You don't have to deal with, oh, this is the years without Chandler, without Phoebe. Like, they're all there the whole time, which that is kind of rare these days.
That's an excellent point for helping me to sort through that. Yes, in fact, Friends is my favorite because that has that issue with The Office. There is a lot of they're not there. You don't see much, or even like the back and forth where, Ryan Howard is gone or Kelly's gone or like that sort of thing. So thank
Angela
you.
dies or whatever.
Oh my gosh, D'Angelo. Yeah. So yes,
Yeah,
Friends
yeah.
officially gets it now. Thank you for helping me solidify that, Brian.
Way to go, Brian.
Yeah. Well, Friends is in my top 10, but it's not my number 1 anymore.
New Girl.
And there's not a
New Girl's
weak
in there, too.
season. There's not a weak season of Friends either. Like, it's not like the
No.
quality suffers. I actually like some of the later seasons more than like the first couple seasons.
I usually started at season
Me
7.
too.
Like honestly, if
Me
I'm
too.
just like
Season
throwing
7,
it in,
yeah.
yeah, it gets really
Season
good.
7 disc 2 is my most played disc of all the Friends DVDs.
Nice.
Yeah, where for me,
Picks right up with them.
season 3 of The Office, it's like you kind of just know what's like the best.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Season 3 for sure.
Not
The Office.
D'Angelo.
But I think the real gold of Friends is the fact that every single one of them is a lead actor. Every single one of them has such high quality in what they do. To have that in 6 people that work so well together, it's like you just hit gold. It was like the perfect storm, and they did such a great job. Whether they're the writer, the casting director, everybody, like they just did their job so well.
Yeah. Which, by the way, if you guys have been listening to this is off topic, you mentioned New Girl. Have you guys been listening to the New Girl podcast?
I downloaded it, but I haven't actually started watching it.
Does Zoe Deschanel do that?
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah, and Winston and Cece, all 3 of them.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I
I'll
guess
listen to that.
they saying early on, before I got the title, when they were casting it, it was like an untitled project. The working title was Chicks and Dicks.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wait, New Girl one?
Yeah, so I'm glad they changed that.
Yes. I don't know if I would have watched it.
Yeah.
I would have been like, too
little sketchy.
risky.
Well, we almost named our podcast that, but with it just being me and Brian, that didn't make sense at all.
You just never know.
I watch Property Brothers. I mean, you see a little Zoe Deschanel in there, some pictures, but that's about it.
I watched Elf.
Okay.
I love New Girl. Have you guys done a New Girl one?
We have, yeah.
So good.
Well, we could do another one.
What was the one we did with New? I think we talked about the top 3 episodes. I believe was
Yeah,
our
we
New Girl
picked
one.
top 3 episodes, and we
I
did it
told you about
specifically-
that one. I said when we did New Girl, I'm like, we're doing a New Girl one. It's great. You should listen to it.
We did that one
Limited
specifically
memory.
because Michelle said that she would listen to our podcast if we did a New Girl episode.
That's right. Yeah. And I'm sure Michelle's listening. Hi, Michelle.
Yes.
I'm sure this is like your second podcast of ours that you've listened to, maybe third. So nice to see you.
Well,
Nice to
you'll
get called out.
have to tell her that we mentioned her, and then she'll have to listen to all through this whole thing just to get to her mention.
That's true.
right.
It's like, well, we had it at the end. Our bad. So let's get to trivia.
Yes, I was going to say we should do trivia.
All right, last week's trivia. Go ahead, Brian.
Oh, yeah, we talked about showrunners. We talked about one of the best showrunners, Bill Lawrence, who's behind Scrubs and Cougar Town and Ted Lasso. Cougar Town starring Friends alum Courtney Cox. So who is Bill Lawrence's actual real-life wife? We actually cast in a couple of his shows. It's Krista Miller, who you know as Jordan on Scrubs and as Ellie on Cougar Town.
Yep. She was also on the Drew Carey show.
Yeah, that was a great show. That's where I knew her from first.
Same here.
I forgot that was a show.
I know.
Yeah.
Wow.
Back
All right,
when he
Ange,
was
what you got?
chubby.
Is this the trivia?
This is the trivia. Yes.
Okay, so the trivia this week is which Friends character didn't actually, maybe not Friends character, which Friends actor did not actually have to even audition for their role in Friends?
Marcel the Monkey.
think
You
you're
know
right.
what? He probably did, honestly.
He probably did. He had to do some tricks. Try to dance.
Which
too.
monkey? All right, monkey number 3. We're ready to see you now. I'm going to perform a song from My Fair Lady. All right, get this monkey out of here. There you go. All right. Well, hey, and I said last week, but that was actually 2 weeks ago. Hopefully you guys joined us for our live last week. We had a lot of fun. I know for sure that we did. I'm not speaking this from the past. This is
Nope.
Oh, trippy. It's like a Back to the Future moment.
I know. I watched an episode of Doctor Who today, so I jumped in the TARDIS and went to there, and I saw us having fun. So
Sweet.
We had so many people joining us live. I mean, it was crazy.
yeah, I was surprised when Zooey Deschanel showed up. I was like, "What are you doing here?" And she's like, "New girl." Then she said chicks and dicks, and I'm like, I don't get it. But now I understand. Now after the reference you've given. So
Speaking of time
This is what I have to put up with every week.
This is what you have to put up with every day.
that's true.
All right, you win.
Speaking of time travel, a really good one is Timeless on Hulu. And 11/22/63. So good. James
Tricia is
DeFranco.
a time travel fiend.
Freak. I love time travel. So
Yes.
11/22/63.
That is really good. I like
Yes.
11/22/63
And
a lot.
Timeless is awesome.
Feel like remembering the name of it. I can never remember it.
It's
I
the
always
date
know
that
when
Kennedy
JFK
was
died.
assassinated.
Yeah, but that's not something I just know. So I'm like, what's the one
Well,
with the number?
I thought
Kennedy was
about it
assassinated.
yesterday.
It's
Yeah.
also
Like
the day that
11.
C.S. Lewis died and Aldous Huxley.
I
all
didn't.
three of us.
After I
All
was
three of
tested
them.
on that, man, I did not remember it.
I said
Sorry.
all three of us when I referred to that, so you guys can guess who I think I am: JFK, Aldous Huxley, or C.S. Lewis. Place your bets.
Either way,
11/22.
Matt has a great ego.
And next week is going to be awesome. It's our April Fool's episode, so we're not going to do a prank on you. Definitely not. Don't be expecting anything. But we are going to talk about Impractical Jokers, and we're going to talk about what punishments would we not want to do. We'll count down our top 3 of which punishments would we hate if we were in that position. So
Yeah, I mean, my worst punishment is having to do a podcast with Matt.
that's true. And he lives it on a weekly basis. So again,
Yeah.
but Angie has it on a daily basis. So poor her.
Yeah, he said, I get to log off and go to work. You guys are still, they're in the same room with Matt.
It's
They don't get
hot
to
in
escape.
here.
That's true.
He stinks.
I'm breathing a lot, so they told me not to,
Stop
but
breathing.
I just kept doing it. Well, anyway, thank you so much to our awesome special guests. They are so great. Everyone loves them. I love one of them a lot, and I love one of them kind of a lot. And so until next
You guess
time,
which-
yeah, you guys figure it out between you guys. All right, until next time, I'm Matt.
I'm
I'm Brian.
Oh,
And I'm Tricia.
I think I should have higher billing than Brian.
And we'll work that out amongst our agents. Until next time, we're reminding you to stay tuned and keep watching.
Ah. Your underwear is in the background.
Not yours, Brian. Wait. No, yours is on the other shelf. Okay. We're
Yeah,
good.
I was like, I thought I sent it to you.
You did. Well, I have a feeling you might throw this in as an end tag. You said right. Underwear gag at end. Got it.